What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Creativ Rise podcast. This is an exciting week. We are about to debunk the most exciting win that we have ever seen inside of the Creativ Rise ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like,
and by debunk,
huge.
It's not like it's a myth. It is like
No, we're going to
true.
break it down so that you
news.
can actually implement what we are going to be talking about into your own business.
It's going to be great.
So excited to talk about it. But to catch you guys up to speed, if you've been listening to the last couple of weeks of podcasts, we've been giving you updates on the 6-week Creativ Rise Mastermind, sharing wins of the members in the 6-week Creativ Rise Mastermind, sharing with you what the win was, how they got that win, a bunch of stuff. It's been so fun to give you guys some insight into what some of the people inside of the Creativ Rise Mastermind round 10 are accomplishing, how they're doing it. We love celebrating wins. Yeah. Creativ Rise literally was started to like preach and celebrate community over competition. So that's what we were doing. This episode is going to celebrate the biggest win of all time. But before we do that, let's talk more about the mastermind and talk about a few wins from just this week. We got some awesome people to shout out. But if you're sitting here going, I haven't actually caught those episodes, what is the Creativ Rise Mastermind? Well, 4 years ago, back in 2019, we set out to create a piece of curriculum / like a container, a community that would serve creatives to be able to go on to build a life that they love because they're getting paid to do what they love. So I was asking the question, what have I learned that has helped me build a 6-figure business that allows me to do what I love, that gives me the time and freedom to really enjoy the things in life that I want to do and all that stuff because I have a thriving business? What could I help somebody else learn because of that? And then could they replicate that? So in 2019, I set out on a little experiment, tested it, called it the Creativ Rise Mastermind. It was actually 8 weeks at the time. We shortened it to 6 and made it way, way, way better in 4 years. But the first round launched and we took, I think in the first round I had like 12 people go through it. And it was so fun, and it helped so many people get closer to building the business of their dreams. And we've continued to do that over the last 4 years and just iterated the actual environment, the Creativ Rise Mastermind, to be so much better. So it is 6 weeks of jam-packed content, teaching you everything you need to know, the tools and the strategies you need to know to build a 6-figure business, paired with really good accountability, because we know nothing happens in your business until you have people keeping you accountable for it to happen in your business. And then a really, really solid communal aspect that keeps you supported, inspires you, really, really lifts you up when you fail, really, really lifts you up when you succeed. It's like the perfect mesh of community coaching and accountability that develops people and just like spits out 6-figure business owners like no tomorrow. So yeah. I think I'm pretty biased. But I think we're probably both biased on this. But so. We really do believe, and what we're aiming to do is make this the best place on the face of the internet to learn how to build a 6-figure business as a creative, photographer, filmmaker, graphic designer, social media manager, influencer, agency owner. And it's so fun to constantly do this. So we just finished running round 10, which is insane to think that. I just talked about round 1. We've now run round 10. We take about 30 to 35 businesses every time. This last rounded 36 businesses, which pushes us to 282 graduates of the Creativ Rise Mastermind over the last 4 years. So insane. So a couple of people to shout out from this week who got these wins this week. So epic. Yeah.
So shout out to Hailey. We kind of crafted this package for her to pitch to a potential client
in the group chat.
She
was like, "Hey, help!"
No, we also talked about it on the call. We literally like workshopped it together.
Everyone was helping give her feedback, like in the group chat too, though.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so Hailey landed a $3,000 shoot at an Airbnb. It's so sick. So congratulations, Hailey. And then secondly, Monique landed a $1,300 a month retainer with a brand out in New Zealand.
Shout out New Zealand.
She's so cool. She landed a $1,300 a month retainer.
So cool. And then last but not least, one of our favorite wins from this week was Ryan Whitaker landed a $2,200 retainer per month with a really cool golf brand. And he's getting into golf. So this is a really exciting one for him. Ryan, quick shout out to Ryan and his wife, Chanel. You've heard Chanel got a couple wins earlier throughout the mastermind. We've been shouting her out on the podcast. They are killing it right now. They absolutely exploded through the 6-week mastermind. They made $40,000 in 6 weeks, which way over like 3 to 4x what they were planning on probably making. Like the things that they have talked about, the tools, the strategies, the community, the accountability has just absolutely exploded what they were doing. Right place, right time. We were so excited for them. This is actually what Chanel just said. Creativ Rise tied all the loose ends I had in my creative business. It helped me manage my money better, gave me an incredible community, 10x'd my income in 6 weeks. I wish I could go through it 365 days a year. So do we. I feel confident going into 2024 that I'll reach all the goals I've set for myself with my awesome awesome friends cheering me on. Chanel, and Ryan. So cool.
And not to mention, that's their first year in business together.
Yeah. First year in business,
year.
husband and wife team. They're freaking killing it. 40 grand in 6 weeks. That's like insane numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So massive shout out to you, Chanel and Ryan. You guys are killing it. Hailey, Monique, shout out to you guys as well. Shout out to everybody in this 10th round of the Creativ Rise Mastermind. There's been so many wins. We're just shouting out a couple quick few here. Yeah. But what we want to talk about today is that there is a bigger win.
Yeah.
A more massive win that I think needs to be spoken about, and then it also needs to be pulled apart and figured out why that win even happened. So to set the context for what this win is, why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so every single round of the mastermind, we actually tally and keep track of how much they make during the mastermind. We do something called Ring the Bell, where anytime anyone makes $1 in their business, they shout it out in the group chat. We keep track of all of those numbers. So every single round, we tell the round, hey, here's what last round did. See if you can beat them as a group. It's just fun camaraderie. We do it every single time we run a mastermind, and we did the same thing for this one.
Yeah, and it's funny because normally when we say, hey, you guys should try and beat the revenue goal that the last mastermind did, they're like, yeah. And then this time we said, yeah, you guys should try and beat it. They're like, yeah. And then we said, but here's the goal. The last round, round 9, did $414,000 in 6 weeks.
Crazy.
That is insane. 404. It's almost $500,000 in 6 weeks. Like, I'm going to be very honest. I was like, there's no way to beat this. Like, round 9 was insane. Those are crazy, crazy numbers. And you should have seen their faces shift from like, yeah, we can beat it. And then I said what the number was, and they're all kind of like, oh, shoot. Like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of funny to see how this was all going to play out.
I feel like they were the most competitive out of any round ever. So
it was like week 1, and every time someone would send a ring the bell to the group chat where they do the little ring a bell emoji, say what they made and how they made maybe 1 or 2 things they learned from the deal. It's a great way for everybody to learn what people's prices are, how they're getting deals. Anyways, every single time someone would say that, they'd be like, let's kill round 9. Like, we're going to do it, you know? So they were 100% so competitive. So this is the crazy thing. You might have read the title of this podcast and thought, that's got to be clickbait. It's not clickbait, okay? Round 10 of the Creativ Rise Mastermind made $422,355 and a whopping 96 cents. $422,355.96 in 6 weeks, guys. Contracted revenue in 6 weeks. To make that even more insane, to realize how crazy that was, that's $70,392.66 a week. Even better. This is crazy. Yeah. And that's $10,056.09 per day.
That's crazy.
You tell me creatives are broke. I don't know who you're hanging out with. If you're living around people and everyone's like, oh, creatives don't make any money. There's obviously creatives who crush it in making money. The Creativ Rise Mastermind is like what's the word for that? Like epicenter? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Epicenter of creatives who want to make money. Like, this is where they're all hanging out. So, guys, we are so proud of round 10. Round 10 beat the round 9 all-time revenue goal for cash generated contracted revenue in 6 weeks. I can't even believe that that's actually happening. Yeah. $10,000 per day, $70,000 per week, and a whopping $422,000 in 6 weeks. It's like exhausting even trying to say that. There's so many numbers in there.
So many decimal points.
Oh my goodness. So quick thing to note here, that's not $422,000 from people who already had 6-figure businesses.
Yeah.
Every single business out of the 36 businesses that was in round 10 of the mastermind was working their way to their first 6 figures, with the exception of one business that's an agency. Shout out Joe Lord. He was in there as well. He had already crossed that point. Every other business, 35 out of 36 businesses, was working their way to 6 figures. So these are not businesses that are already like cranking, right? These are all businesses that are coming into the mastermind to learn how to get the tools and strategies, the accountability, and the community to become a 6-figure business. So the fact that they did, again, almost $500,000 in 6 weeks, and they beat the revenue goal by, what is that? That's $8,000. It's just insane. Yeah. Absolutely insane. And the fact that they only beat it by $8,000, that's a pretty close.
That is.
That's close.
That is. And I actually think we had more people that were making over 6 figures in the last round than we did in this round. So I'm like, it actually is, they cranked.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
You mean there's more people that are
there
like...
were more people who had like longer established businesses in round 9 than there were in round 10. There's a lot of people who were brand new
There's
in round 10.
a lot of people in round 10 though that are hitting 6 figures for the first time this year.
I meant coming into the mastermind. Yeah, that's awesome. So guys, huge shout out to round 10. We are so excited for you guys. It has been so fun being a part of this. I'm gonna actually shout out every single person's name. So roll with me real quick because we are so proud of each and every one of you. In round 10, we had David Thuman, Abby Taylor, Abby Gaskell. Yes, we had a lot of Abbies. Tanis Ross, Tobiah Liu, Maureen Corsick, Chris Vanda Hay, Jack Franzino, Joe Lord, Victoria May, Carmina Garcia, Luke Burchard, Alex Cias, Danielle Bulkley, Stephanie Hernandez, Colin Yen, Chris Crater, Chanel Whitaker, Ryan Whitaker, Aaron Lancaster, Devin Sawtell, Prescott Van Leer, Maddie Rusin, Jake Ressler, Monique Kinnear, Hailey Lichtenberg, Lexi Suin, Luke Burchard, Austin Farmer, McKenna Wary, Zach Braun, Jennifer Abrams, Jordan Hopper, Abigail Zavala, Amanda Scott, Reese Warren, and Alex Stelmakovich.
That was really good. That's a lot of names to go through.
I think we had a double in there, but that's good.
Do we have a double in there somewhere?
I think so. I think Luke was in there twice, but he's so great. He deserves to be
there you
in there
go.
twice.
Shout out Luke, bro. We mentioned you twice. Great dude. So shout out to everybody in round 10. Killed it. Absolutely killed it. But the question is, why are you still listening to the podcast? The question is, what can you learn from what they did so well that led to them smashing the revenue goal by a whopping $8,000? It's actually not like that much money more, but to get past what round 9 had said, it just blows my mind that it even happened. So round 10 has the new revenue goal of $422,000. What did they do that led to them being able to accomplish such a massive number? Well, there's a couple different things. We think there is 4 things specifically that this round did that other rounds have also done, but this round did exceptionally well. So to lay this out, first things first, this round had 36 businesses that all submitted themselves to a process of coaching, community, and accountability. Like an intense 6 weeks where Christy and I dumped every single thing we've ever learned from building 3 separate 6-figure businesses in 3 different arenas into them. A ton of feedback from every single person in the community, so much accountability. They got everything. So I say that there's 4 things, but then I go on to say it's not as simple as 4 things, but there's a lot in these 4 things that you can learn. So these people these businesses beautifully submitted themselves to the process that Christy and I have developed of coaching, community, and accountability in order to make this happen. But the 4 things that we really want to highlight that we think they did exceptionally well, number 1 was bulletproofing their offers. So week 1 and week 2, we spent a vicious amount of time going back and forth with people. People were like aggressively trying to figure out how to make their offer as good as possible. So this wasn't a bunch of creatives who were like, oh yeah, that kind of works. I think that's okay. I'll just go start selling it. They were like, no, here's the offer I've built. Guys, what feedback do you have for me? How can I make this better? How can I sell this better? Do I need to change the price? Do I need to up the price? Do I need to shift the deliverables? Like people were vicious about bulletproofing their offer. So it was so good that who they were targeting was just going to love what they were going to have, and it was going to be a phenomenal solution. Whether you were in the wedding industry or the commercial space, branded commercial space, they really did a great job of bulletproofing their offer. So the takeaway for you is, do you feel so clear on the fact that you have an amazing bulletproof offer in your own business? And I say an amazing bulletproof offer, not offers, because what really helped these guys scale so fast is that they really focused in on one offer that was going to crush it for them. Of course, there's lots of businesses in this round that had adjacent offers to that, but you've got to have a primary thing that you do better than anybody else. You've got to have a primary thing. If you do like 7 things all at the exact same pace and you try and sell them all at the exact same pace, you're going to be too confusing. You're going to be, splitting your focus in 7 different ways. It's not going to work very well. So simple scales, these guys bulletproof their offers incredibly well, and you should too.
Yeah, and the second thing that this group did really, really well and that we focused on a lot, especially in the first couple weeks, was how they raised their prices. So raised pricing. A lot of people came in, they were massively undercharging. massively to the point where it was a red flag for clients. And they were often even getting ghosted on low prices because their pricing was actually a red flag. So we put them through
And what does
our
that mean
strategies.
for people? Like, it's like, what is a red flag pricing? Because we talk about that a lot in the
Yeah.
mastermind.
So if you have a client that is kind of shopping around with a bunch of other people in your similar industry for the service they're looking for, which is most likely true. Always be thinking that other people are probably also looking at other people. If they go to a competitor in your industry and they get pricing from them and it is massively higher than yours, you might think, oh my gosh, well, they're then going to go with me because I have the cheaper pricing. Obviously. Well, obviously not, because oftentimes when someone sees a very low pricing next to somebody who seems like they're offering a similar style of work or similar quality of work, and all of a sudden it's like there's this massive gap, they probably wonder, well, what am I not getting with yours? What am I not getting? What's the experience I'm not going to get? What's the quality that I'm not going to get? And is it worth me just going with the higher price to know that this is something I value and I feel safer choosing a higher price? So we had a lot of people who were in that position. We also had people who were in the position where we have some strategies around like, hey, how many, out of 10 inquiries are you booking? And that kind of helps us figure out where your pricing is. We have some really cool strategies that we go through in the mastermind. But kind of with pricing and raising prices, and there were some people who were in a lower bracket pricing and wanting to move it up. And so we actually help them on strategies of like, how do you even move up your pricing how do you up your value? How do you up your quality? How do you up all of these things so that you can raise your prices? So we had a lot of like price raising conversations. A lot of people were really nervous about raising prices, but then being so stoked when the next week someone books them at their new pricing and they're like, oh my gosh, why did I even charge less than that before?
Confidence booster. One of my favorite like pricing increase conversations that we had, I feel like you were just speaking a little bit to like the wedding side there, or at least that's how I'm reading you into that. It was also like the people that have retainers, and they were talking about raising their pricing on their retainers. And so how do you transition a client from $1,000 a month to $3,000 a month? Like, how do you go up an extra 200%? How do you do that, right? So we had a lot of those conversations. That actually happened. Shout out Devin. He actually took a client from $1,000 to $3,000 on a retainer. So cool. So you said pricing was number 2. Massive point of focus for this round was pricing and raising those prices. So number 1 was bulletproofing their offers. Number 2 was raising their pricing and strategically doing it in a way where they can sell well. Number 3 is they were doing demo sales calls with each other, improving their selling skills. So they actually got together. A lot of them got together in their accountability pods and said, hey, can we jump on a call where we can sell each other and play a little bit, like role play, how we can actually run through a sales call so we can get better at the sales process. So when it comes time to actually get on a real sales call, we feel very confident about the plan. So we give everybody in the Creativ Rise Mastermind a literal step-by-step plan for a sales call. The plan that we've been using for years works phenomenal. It makes clients feel incredibly comfortable, makes us feel really comfortable, and leads us to a really good point of sale at the end of the call. They all learned that framework, and then they literally got on demo calls with each other to help practice it. That is a massive thing. So many creatives don't do it. When was the last time you, maybe listen to the show, got on a demo sales call with some of your friends or people in your field and actually chalked it up with each other, talked it all out, and figured out where you could improve and where you feel some potential insecurities in there and how you can smooth all that stuff out. So number 3 is they crushed doing demo sales calls with each other, and you should also be doing that for you to also improve your sales skills. Yeah.
And then number 4, last but definitely not least, they strategically built relationships before they pitched their ideal clients. So we talk a ton about pitching. We talk a ton about, how to make a proposal, how to pitch a client on something, but we also equally talk about how do you build relationships with people so that it doesn't just feel like a cold ask. It doesn't just feel like you're going to get, ghosted because they're like, who is this person? We do a ton of work on how do you build strategic relationships with people? How do you give value before you even ask? And that group did this so well. They did this by, giving value on socials to those types of ideal clients. They did this by creating free spec work. They did all of these awesome things where they're just giving before they asked, so that when they asked, people actually said yes, which is why this income goal this income for the revenue for the whole mastermind was so high, which is really cool. So those are the 4 things that they specifically did in this mastermind that has caused this crazy $422,000 new record holders is round 10, which we are so excited about. But one of the coolest things that we heard during the last final call we had was we kind of have everyone go around and say, hey, where did you come in at in this round? So what did you come in either feeling or feeling insecure about or not hitting revenue-wise or whatever it is, what did you come in as, and then what are you leaving as? Like, 6 weeks ago, you came in feeling this or this or this. What are you leaving now doing? And we had so many people talk about income goals, income growth, deals, feeling more confident on sales calls, just business-wise, feeling like they have all these new strategies and they've got like their whole toolbox of being able to go, hey, now I can go build and crush in my creative business because I know exactly what to do, which was so cool and inspiring. But they also talked about, man, I feel like I'm stepping away with a community. Like, I'm stepping away with relationships with people that are going to cheer me on when I succeed. They're going to help me when I fail. They're going to help me in the times when businesses, when I'm trying to figure it all out. And I actually have a like excited community, but I also have a community that I can look at and be inspired by, which I hope is what you feel from this podcast, is hearing this number of $422,000 in 6 weeks. I hope you go, oh my gosh, that actually fires me up, because I can see that other people are doing it, that being a creative and not making money don't have to go hand in hand, that you can actually succeed at doing what you love. And that is what these people got to experience right up close. And I'm glad you get to experience a piece of that even by just listening to this podcast.
100%. So we're so proud of everybody in round 10. If you have any interest in being in the next round of the Creativ Rise Mastermind, it is coming. It's coming early next year, 2024. So all you got to do, same thing you've got to do to get into every round, is you've got to get on the wait list. The wait list fills this thing out every single time. We had 90 something applications for these 36 spots from this last round, and we had a couple hundred people on the wait list. So applications go quick, and then spots to the actual mastermind actually fill up even quicker. So get on the wait list, go to creativrise.com, and you can see the wait list buttons everywhere there. You can see all the information about what you are going to be learning, how you're going to be learning it, who you're going to be learning it with, everything there that's going to cover how your experience in the Creativ Rise Mastermind is going to help you get closer to building your six-figure business and beyond as a creative. So creativrise.com, link in the description, or just jump there, hit the link in our Instagram bio, whatever it's going to be. Guys, thanks for listening to the show today. We just want to shout you out massively. If you are in round 10, huge congratulations. We just read off all the names. We love you guys. You guys are great friends now. So cool to get to be a part of you guys building your businesses as we step out of 2023 and go to 2024. And for you guys just listening to the show, take this as inspiration, as Christy just said. Use this episode as, wow, like this stuff is possible as a creative. The whole point of why we even talked about this on today's episode was we want you to feel like if there's a fire in the creative industry of creatives actually building great businesses. It is so possible. There's way too much bad talk about how creatives don't make any money. It's, you'll never be able to buy a house as creatives. You'll never be able to do it. Like that stuff's just all a bunch of junk. So this episode needs to serve you as a massive force of inspiration. And we hope it does. If you love this episode, if it was helpful for you, make sure you share it with a friend that would also be encouraged by hearing about the successes of everybody in round 10 and how possible it is for you to succeed and build a life doing what you love as a creative, which is why Creativ Rise exists in the first place. So hope to see you next week. We'll catch you on next week's episode.